Welcome to Refocus. I'm Tristan Nichols. As the saying goes, one man's junk is another man's treasure. Over the years, green thinking and recycling initiatives have really come to the forefront of people's minds as we battle to preserve our planet for future generations. This week's show, we're looking at the theme of turning trash into treasure and how people across San Diego County are really thinking in more of a green way. But first, let's take a look at how this is converted into something very different. In an average year, Americans consume more than 50 billion bottles of water. These bottles are typically made from a plastic called polyethylene terephthalate, or PET. Unbeknown to most people, this plastic can literally take centuries to degrade naturally. The city of San Diego spends just over $7 million annually on recycling, and about 2/3 of that cost is recovered with the sale of recyclable materials. Now here's a question for you. Have you ever finished your drink and wondered what happens to the plastic bottle you've just placed in a recycling bin? Well, you're likely to see that bottle again, but not in the same form. City workers pick up the recycling bins and transport their contents to the recycling facility. Once at that facility, the recyclables are sorted by the type of material. In particular, any plastic bottles are cleaned inside and out and stripped of any labelling. These bottles are then ground into small plastic flakes, and from this process the flakes are melted down and transformed into tiny plastic pellets. Now these can be used to mould all sorts of products such as cell phone cases, toys and fibre for clothing. Still, of the 5.6 billion pounds of PET bottles and jars that were sold in the US in 2012 alone, only 30.8% were collected for recycling. Roughly 6% of that material was then converted into new bottles. With that small percentage going back into reproducing plastic bottles, it leaves a huge amount of recycled material that can be used in other ways. Now, inventors and innovators across San Diego County have really been jumping on the green bandwagon, using it in very different ways. In our first piece now, we're looking at a local surfer who's used recyclable materials to safely transport surfboards across the world. Let's take a look.
Bass came about when I was working at a surf camp in Nicaragua. I noticed guys unpacking and repacking boards, and it was slow and time consuming. Didn't really work effectively, so that's really where the idea sparked. And then when I was traveling, the airlines damaged my boards. So that was really the catalyst for the idea. I came home and started working on it. That's what I did. I came home, and that's where it started. I hadn't ran a business or come up with an idea before, so I knew there was a lot of homework to be done. And I started in on making prototypes. This is kind of the third generation of it. It was a kind of a gap that needed to be bridged from foam pipe insulation to something that would actually fit the rail of the board that wasn't foam pipe insulation. So ended up using different tools and saws, table saw and circular saw and knives to create this thing made from PE foam, toothpicks, and glue. Knew it needed to be stronger on the outside, so that's a Surlyn plastic. It's the same material that's on the bottom of body boards, Surlyns on golf balls. It's a very durable plastic. So glued that together. This right here, we're starting to cover the entire top surface of the rail and sides with this Surlyn plastic and making cuts because they need to be able to flex. This one uses less cuts because it was too floppy beforehand. So this has a good blend of stiffness yet flexibility. I think the difference between these two is that I was coming up with a kind of an ergonomic design to the Surlyn that I placed over it versus this square cutoff. And then finally, this was the piece that I used in order to approach an engineer. As you can see, the Surlyn's now covering the nose on both sides and around the perimeter. I chose to only use one slit as a means of flexibility for the rails. and the cuts on the side. After a few months, came up with the design that would work, and voila, that was the first adapter. Finding a real-world application or process that matched up with the idea. It turned out to be thermoforming plastic that allowed us to design this idea in a way that would produce something like this. When that locked on the first time, I was beside myself. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Our first system here starts with a nose piece, and you slide on here, and then this is the rail that it snaps into. Bring it up here, do the same thing with the tail. And you take this adapter and you bridge the gap. We're working on standardizing the way surfboards are packaged and shipped. The old way of doing things is slow and wasteful and somewhat ineffective. With Bast, we were just trying to simplify things and streamline the whole process. So what we hope our users will be pleased with is the efficiency of the system, its reusability, and its low carbon footprint. It's better for the environment altogether and benefits a lot of people in the supply chain, not just the manufacturer who has to take time out of his day to package the boards, but when a board's sold, it goes with the purchase of that board to be reused by the surfer on a trip. We're working towards retail right now. We're currently working with Firewire surfboards. And starting this past October, all TimberTech models that come with Bass packaging, the person who buys that board gets a Bass kit. That's where we're starting at. It's a great starting point for us to be able to work with such an experienced company and one that distributes worldwide. It really tests out this product and what it can do.
Welcome back to Refocus. I'm Tristan Nichols. The theme of this week's show is turning trash into treasure. The Surf Rider Foundation here in San Diego runs 2 local beach cleanup projects. By getting rid of the trash, they're maintaining our treasure, be it our boardwalks, our beaches, or the natural habitat that we call our own.
My name's Roger Kuby. I'm chair of the Surf Rider Foundation San Diego County chapter. The Surf Rider Foundation's mission is the protection and enjoyment of our oceans, waves, and beaches through a powerful activist network. Everything we do is geared to protecting our coastline. 700 to 800 core volunteers in our organization that is helping to protect our coastline on an annual basis. We have 7 different programs and campaigns geared towards that cause. We host approximately 48 public beach cleanups per year, 2 of which per month is co-hosted with the San Diego County Coastkeeper. 2 of our programs that go along with our beach cleanup program is our Rise Above Plastics program and our Hold On To Your Butt campaign. These 2 programs help to address the marine litter that we're finding on our beaches and in our ocean. In fact, approximately 70% of what we find on our San Diego County beaches is plastic. It ranges from plastic bags, plastic straws, single-use plastic bottles, and also cigarette butts. About 5 trillion cigarette butts are disposed of in our environment on an annual basis. Quite a few of those end up in our ocean. What a lot of people don't realize is that the filters of a cigarette butt are actually made of plastic. The problem with plastics is plastics don't biodegrade, they photodegrade. So what happens is they break down into smaller and smaller pieces, and in our oceans, our fish are eating them. Obviously, if we're eating fish, that's getting back into our food stream. The other big problem is entanglement and ingestion. In fact, approximately 1 million seabirds die every year due to plastic ingestion. $11 billion is spent per year in the US on litter cleanup. 32% of that litter are cigarette butts. So the Hold On To Your Butt campaign has a couple primary focuses in helping to raise awareness and then also offering solutions. We have an annual Hold On To Your Butt Day, which is an event that we normally host in either 1 or 2 locations. We hold signs, we dress up like cigarette butts, and we distribute pocket ashtrays to help raise the awareness about cigarette butt pollution. In 2007 or 8, we started to install cylinder ash cans throughout San Diego County. Actually, Ocean Beach was the first location we started to install those. To date, we have approximately 180 to 190 ash cans all up and down the coastline and as far inland as La Mesa. Last time I spoke with the Ocean Beach Main Street Association, they're emptying them 3 times a month, and then in some areas even more frequently. Summertime, she said, is sometimes twice a week. And they're 24-inch cylinder ash cans, and they can hold quite a few cigarette butts. So it is helping.
$500 million single-use plastic bags are used in San Diego City alone every single year. Only about 5% of those get recycled. Even the recyclers don't want to take them because they clog up their machines and they can't actually recycle them. The Rise Above Plastics campaign is a global campaign. We advocate for the reduction of single-use plastic bags all around the world, whether that's through a complete ban or a 5-cent fee like what was passed in Washington, D.C. or in other municipalities around the country and around the world. Europe is pretty fond of the fee over the complete ban. But we find them both effective. Whether a ban or a fee, we're advocating for any way to reduce single-use plastic bags in our environment. And specifically in San Diego, the ordinance that we're looking at is a ban with a 10-cent fee on paper bags.
So in addition to reducing, reusing, and recycling plastic, we also advocate for refusing plastic as well. Buy things in bulk. Refuse single-use plastics. When you're looking at packaging on a purchase, do you really need that item? Use less, and essentially reduce your footprint when it comes to purchasing plastic packaging and plastic items.
So we've now seen the process of how a bottle is recycled into new material, how San Diego businesses are profiting from recyclables, and indeed how San Diego County is part of that whole process. But what really happens at this city's recycling facilities? Let's take a look now.
Recycling has been going on for 15, 20 years now, but the city's mandatory recycling ordinance just went into effect in 2008. So it's been mandatory for residents and businesses to recycle since then. And the community as a whole has really stepped up. Our citywide recycling rate, as far as everything, all encompassing, is 68% right now. But when you do break it down to the residential, to the curbside, where we're looking to make the increases, like I said, it's only an average of 23% at curbside level. We met before the Natural Resource and Culture Committee to present our proposal for recycling outreach, where we're going to work with council districts and local neighborhood newspapers to get the information out about their individual neighborhood recycling rates, and hopefully kind of drive a little competitiveness between the neighborhoods to try to increase the recycling at curbside at that level. And we're hoping that that'll work for us, because like I said, at the 23-24%, that's pretty dismal. We're really looking to increase our numbers any way we can. We really can't fail at this, because even though we're at a 68% recycling rate citywide, a state goal has been set by the legislature where they want all cities to have a 75% recycling diversion rate by the year 2020. And while it doesn't have teeth right now, we don't know if they may make it a mandate and add fines and penalties. And one of the things that you have to consider at curbside is that you will have scavengers coming through and taking out a lot of the material that can be taken to recycling facilities such as this, and they get money out of it. And a lot of times, something that we're taking into account is a lot of the residents themselves are bringing in their own CRV. They're collecting their own cardboard or metals, and they're taking it elsewhere to get money on their own for them, and that's perfectly fine. We've been very fortunate to have some great partners here at IMS Recycling and with Allen Company, our other contractor with the city, that we take our recycled commodities to. They have been able to find markets where we've been able to expand our recycling to include rigid plastics within the last 2 years, and then within the last year, our carton recycling, where we take milk cartons and juice cartons and those types of things. And they've been able to find the markets for those where instead of throwing them in the trash, we're now able to get them recycled and actually generate revenue. It's obviously an enterprise fund, so we can only use it for recycling funds under the law. But it's money that we use for the collection of recyclables at our trucks and for outreach that we do. As far as businesses and industrial places, commercial places, they're doing a good job of recycling. It's at the residential level, the homes, the single families, where we're really trying to get the message out that they need to be recycling a little more.
Welcome back to Refocus. I'm Tristan Nichols. This week we're taking a look at the theme of turning trash into treasure. Now this next story is a real contentious issue. How many times have you seen homeless people rooting through the trash? Now they do so to make money, but it's an illegal practice. Ultimately it's helping the environment.
I'm 62. I take it down to I have a savings account at Bank of America where my checks go direct deposit to my checking, and that goes into savings.
There you go. 5, 10, 17, 18, 19. Thank you, sir. It comes and it goes depending on what time of the month it is. Usually the beginning of the month is really slow. And then after about halfway through the month, it picks up really good. Like Mondays are usually pretty busy. Wednesdays and Fridays are usually pretty good. And then it kind of varies in between that. But for the most part, we stay pretty busy every day.
Here, Martha, I got you.
It's usually dependent on the neighborhood's blue bin day or whenever they put out their recyclables. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, by good rule of thumb. With East Village, there's a section called the Bottoms in San Diego, which a lot of developers don't like people saying, but that's the name of this location on the streets. It's just right by the new library, Thomas Jefferson School of Law, and Petco Park is like, I couldn't quite throw a football there, but I mean, it's not far away. Our mission statement is we use recycling, education, job creation, and economic development to build healthy communities and eradicate all forms of poverty. There's tons of crime, there's violence, there's drugs, everything else. But there's also love in this community, and there's a lot of people who want to do good, and the majority of people do want to do good. So one thing we're doing is creating lots of jobs with recycling.
We deal with a lot of homeless that are walking up and down the alleys picking up recyclables, whether they be cans, metal, glass, and it's actually described right on the bins that it's illegal to remove from the bins. The city has a program to do all the recycling, and if people take all the recycles out, then the city doesn't have the money to fund it.
Okay, so it is a misdemeanor under our municipal code to take recyclables from a city-designated recycling bin, and we do prosecute those cases.
Getting up there, Raymond. There it is. 1785.
They open at 9 and I'll take it down and put it in the savings. I get SSI, and that's about 7, and then on my SSA, I get 8. I gotta get another can. I worked at San Diego Transit for years. It's not that much because the Social Security takes most of it away if you have more than $2,000 a month. Yeah, cash refund. See, the CA cash refund.
I can tell you the police department's not going to write any tickets unless they have complaints in the area. Like the gas lamp might complain, or people in alleys will complain about people rummaging through the garbage cans. And a lot of times it's not so much the recyclables as it is personal property in the garbage cans left behind, like people's name, there's address, could be some sort of identification. So we have a lot of identity theft going out through the garbage cans. So officers in the area will get complaints about it, and they'll enforce it if they have to. But the way I've been talking to some of the officers, usually the first time they're going to talk to the person and find out what's going on and identify the person and warn them that it's illegal to do.
We get more glass and plastic than anything.
1693.
1693.
Glass, plastic, aluminum, copper, brass.
Anything like this, anything that's frosted, like your Arrowhead, your clear Arrowhead frosted water bottle, are recyclable. The only ones that are not recyclable are like your candy jars and stuff. This is a number 2.
Since 2009, our office has prosecuted, I think, about 210 of these cases. I think in most cases, the base fine would be about $279.
I'd have to say that on average, maybe $5-6.
30 customers in 31 minutes.
No, I'm not warmed up.
The money we generate from it, we just put on community programs. So we've helped people off the street with our labor recovery program. We've put on a youth empowerment program for 4 years, and that's in the midst of expanding in partnership with Metro Methodist United, which is going to be awesome. We're working to get a culinary school and replicate that zero waste program from Indianapolis and DC Kitchens. Second Helpings in Indianapolis, who do some amazing things.
I used to work with our local Clean San Diego. I used to be the Raleigh bear. My mother was on with our local Clean San Diego. And we take the Raleigh bear costume home on a Friday night for a Saturday or a Sunday recycling event. And I'd stand out on the sidewalk or near the street with a big sign that says, "Recycle here, meet Raleigh bear." The last truck I had was a Chevy Camper Special, and the camper leaked like a seal. So I had to take the camper off, and I recycled all of the aluminum that was in it. When I get 1,999, I pull it out and take it out to Carlberger Dodge and give it to them, and they give me the receipt for it. The truck total price is $32,900. 2013, brand new. And we thank you, Jeff.
Always a pleasure, Raymond.
So that's going to do it for this edition of Refocus. We've been taking a look at the theme of turning trash into treasure. All the stories were contributed by Peggy Petey with graphics, awesome graphics by Beto Alvarez. Now, be sure to find us on Facebook and Twitter. Give us a like, give us a follow. But for now, we'll see you next time.